Welcome to the Brew Crew Review Podcast, the show by fans for fans of your Milwaukee Brewers.
Welcome, Brewer fans, to the Brew Crew Review Podcast. Yours truly, Craig, along with me is the co-host Vince, and welcome to the 2026 season. Vince, how's it going?
Going really well, Craig. Do we have Chad or Scotty on as well? I assume so.
I don't see him on the call here, so yep. Hopefully they'll join us at some point. But so the 2026 Milwaukee Brewers got out of the gate fairly well, and here we today the Brewers are 10-8. They just ended a 6-game losing streak though, which was the longest losing streak in the Pat Murphy era. So that was a little bit alarming and kind of tough to get through. But with all that being said, we are 2 games over 500 here as we approach the weekend. And yeah, with that being said, we're dealing with a whole bunch of injuries on the IL currently. We've got Christian Yelich, Jackson Chourio, Andrew Vaughn, Jared Koenig, Quinn Priester. Might be missing someone else, but yeah. What are your thoughts so far? The Brewers getting out of the gate for the 2026 season.
Yeah, I don't think that this is a 500 team. I think this is a better than 500 team. Obviously, the injuries don't help, but that's part of every baseball team's path during the course of any season. So we have to be able to step it up and be prepared for things like major injuries. And I think it's unfortunate that it's all happening at once. Maybe that's kind of the difference, is that it seems like in other years you had, Christian Yelich was injured and you had a mostly healthy rest of the lineup. But now this year it's, you got 3 of our biggest bats that are all on the disabled list at the same time. So I think just the timing of it's, unfortunate. And it is good that we got off to such a good start, 8-2 to, start off the season. So that was good that it gave us a little bit of cushion. And now we're, a couple games over 500, which I think that we're a better team than that talent wise, but it's going to take some fortitude. I don't know that we have a real clear indicator of when some of these guys are going to be back from injury. I think that there really is some kind of murkiness ahead in terms of timetables, and hopefully, I think that Jackson Chourio is probably the furthest along, but even he is still in a cast, and so I'd be surprised if anything happens in early May, like they had originally kind of put out there as a potential date, and I think that it's unclear right now.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Other teams are dealing with injuries too. Obviously, the Cubs lost their young ace, Cade Horton, to Tommy John surgery, which I saw just had today. So he'll probably be out for like 15 months. I mean, that's a big pill to swallow. But the Brewers, though, having
I think Palacios is out today too. Their closer's out today as well.
Oh yeah, I saw that for him on a 2-week day IL too. So yeah, all the teams over the course of the season are dealing with injuries. However, you really don't want to see, I guess, in my opinion, 3 of the Brewers, probably 4 or 5 best hitters, all on the IL at the same time. Obviously, everyone knows how much Vaughn was a big part of our team last year and our success. Same thing, Jackson Chourio. I think everyone is expecting him to have a step up, breakout more season this year. And of course, Christian Yelich has come back. He's obviously a veteran who's been dealing with injuries over this contract, but his bat is always very valuable, and he's kind of the de facto leader of the clubhouse, in my opinion. So
yeah, it's sort of when our losing streak started too, is when his injuries cropped up. I mean, we had Vaughn, I think, just played on opening day, and then he got injured. Chourio's been out the entire season, and it was Yelich was still around when we were going 8-2.
Yep. Oh, and also Jared Koenig going on. I mean, he was such a valuable arm for us last year, all season long, with the rubber arm being in there as a lefty almost every other day, if not more. And of course, Quinn Priester before the start of the season, huge part of our last year's success too. So traversing all these injuries has been tough, but I think it's a testament to the depth that Matt Arnold and company has built on this club that we're having to weather it so far. A couple of guys have stepped up with opportunities, and I point out specifically, I think Jake Bowers and Gary Sanchez lead the team in home runs with 5, I believe. So they've really, been middle of the order hitters here, stepping up from their, normal bench roles to provide some nice power in the middle of this lineup. And of course, Bryce Train really looks like he's on that track to be a superstar player. Obviously, it was year last year, his Platinum Gold Glove, and of course, experience with the World Baseball Classic USA team. We're lucky to have him in the lineup every day. It is what it is, but I think also the pitching depth is going to be tested here a little bit, and the Brewers really have some nice pitching depth. There's no doubt about that. Other teams are definitely envious of that. With that being said, with the loss of Freddie Peralta and those veteran innings that he gave us, those kind of innings eaters, we have a lot of younger guys in our rotation that are still going through growing pains, like, of course, Harrison and Sprout. And so not all those guys can throw 7+ innings like Peralta could. So losing those really taxes our bullpen a little bit. I think we've seen some kinks in our always stellar bullpen over the last couple of years already this season. Do you have major concerns with the overall makeup of our bullpen going forward this year?
No, I don't. I think that the bullpen is fine. I think that we're just in the, kind of a weird position of having to cover some inning spread. I think that would probably be true no matter who was in the pen. So it's not the pen per se. I think it's what you just alluded to. It's you're losing a starting pitcher that went a lot more innings than a young guy is used to going. So when you lose Peralta, you've got to cover those, extra couple innings per game, which not only affects that game, but it actually affects the rest of the week then as well. So, and you're also talking about a rotation that has a bunch of young guys. I mean, with Chad Patrick, we're actually going to see Coleman Crow make his major league debut tonight. Sprout, Harrison. I mean, all these are really young guys outside of Woodruff, with Priester being hurt as well, who's also a young guy. I mean, people forget that last year was not Quinn Priester's first season, but it was the season where he pitched the most games. So you are seeing a lot of younger guys who've got a ton of upside who are unfortunately just not conditioned quite yet to go as long as a guy like Freddie Peralta was used to going, which is going to have its effect on the rest of the bullpen. So no, I'm not concerned about the talent level in the bullpen. I am concerned just about the overall usage being increased because of losing your kind of rubber arm in Freddie. And, obviously it's been great so far, but Brandon Woodruff and his injury history is something to keep an eye on because you never know. And I think that that's going to, if anything were to happen to Woodruff, that would be a real testing point probably for the rest of the bullpen as well, because he tends to give us a little bit of length at this point.
Yeah, and of course Woodruff even last year missed significant time, and it's been a while since he's given us like 150 plus innings, and you can't really count on
Even
him.
in 2023, he only pitched 12 games. I mean,
Yeah.
missed all of 24, and then came back last year for at the All Star break or even after. So yeah,
I mean, with no doubt, he's such a valuable part of this team. But with that being said, he cannot be counted on and put on to be not only healthy the entire season, but to put in that many overall innings over the course of the season. And that, like you said, has a trickle down effect on your overall bullpen usage, which I think I get this early season, guys aren't quite stretched out. You don't want them going, past 100 pitches. But a lot of times, I think Murphy is like kind of pulling going his bullpen a little earlier than I think. Until this week, I think no pitcher went past like 6 innings. And I think the longest start so far of the season was the last 2 games, which was both 6 and 2/3 innings from both Brandon Sprout and Chad Patrick. And before, so we still have yet to have any pitcher, starting pitcher, go 7 innings. We're already like 3 weeks into April. So I think hopefully that trend changes so we can save on the bullpen usage a little bit. But I guess that's a concern I have. So um,
yeah, very valid. Are you concerned though about the general talent level in the bullpen or just the usage?
no,
I
just
mean, a
more
lot of a
so.
lot of a lot of our colleagues in the media have talked about McGill and his struggles, and I'm not there yet on freaking out about Trevor McGill. I mean, you might have seen his high point last year, but I still think that he's a guy who provides a lot of quality from the back end of the bullpen. If he's not the closer, he's still an outstanding back of the bullpen arm. And I don't know. I've got more confidence in McGill than some of our colleagues. It seems like.
I absolutely do. And in fact, at this point, if you want to, with Koenig out, I would argue there are three high leverage relievers right now. Of course, are Uribe, McGill, and Serpa. And I think each of those guys have kind of stumbled out of the gate here a little bit compared to McGill was an all-star last year. Uribe was probably one of the most valuable relievers in baseball. And Serpa, I think, has high hopes and looked great in the World Baseball Classic. And they've all, had a little kinks in their armor here to get, but again, it is early April. The weather's been cold, and I mean, there's excuses, but I mean, the bottom line is I do trust those guys going forward. And not only that, but other parts of our bullpen. Aaron Ashby's probably been like the team MVP so far. In fact, he leads
Yeah,
the
yeah.
NL in wins with
5 wins
five.
already, man. Five wins is pretty impressive.
I
I
think
know
he
it's a
might.
I know it's a stat that doesn't you play as well as it used to in the 80s and 90s apparently, but it is still pretty funny that
Yeah, I don't
Ashby's
know
got
if
5 wins.
Aaron Ashby has a great nickname yet, but I think the Vulture might be a good one. Um, but
We'll have
switching.
let's have Scotty's Brent Suter had that nickname for a while. Let's see
Oh,
if
did he?
Scotty's interns can come up with any nickname for Mr. Ashby.
Yeah, we'll see if they encompass something, definitely. So, and this actually a nice segue to remembering Scott's interns have been infamous over the years, of course. A lot of them provide nice berry scented candles for Scott when necessary and other
Yep.
needs. But I mean Scott, they also used to help with his email retriever puppy named Cooper at the time, which I think was after Cecil Cooper. But alas, this generation of Brewers will get to enjoy another Cooper for probably at least the next, hopefully, 8 years, possibly more. And that's wanted to introduce. We haven't had a podcast since this has been finalized. That the Brewers finalized an 8-year contract with shortstop prospect Cooper Pratt, and it actually includes two club options. So we literally have control over him through the 2035 season, which is probably the first time I've ever said that out loud that year. So that's kind of exciting. But with that
Which
being
year
said,
is
I
it?
was a little bit
Which year is it
surprised.
through?
What's that?
What year do we sign him through?
Well, technically, his 8-year contract goes to the 2033 season, but we have two club options of 15 million per year
Yeah.
so it could go all the way through 2035. So
Wow, that'd be the 31st anniversary of the Brooker Review. Not
there you
bad.
go. And there'll be Coopers all throughout it. So, but with Cecil, with the puppy, with Pratt. So anyway, hopefully, but I was a little bit surprised here with the local media, and again, I understand that most kind of casual baseball fans don't totally understand baseball contracts, and $50 million for over a 8-year period of time is like chump change, really. But they don't factor in the fact that he would have got most of that money through arbitration years anyways. And the Brewers very rarely don't offer guys arbitration unless they totally, suck out of the gate. So I think that this shows that the Brewers really believe in Cooper Pratt as a major league player, especially his infield shortstop defense, which I do think he'll stick at short. So with that being said, I was a little bit surprised with the local, I guess, pushback on this deal. Some people were fine with it, but I'd say the majority of the people I heard talking about it were like, well, why are we spending money on unknown players? And so what is your reaction to that, and what's your thoughts overall on the
Well,
contract?
my reaction, my reaction to that would be that he is a known player. I mean, this is a guy who's a very highly ranked and rated part of our minor league system. He's a guy that the Brewers thought well enough of a couple of years ago to give him overslot draft money to keep him from going to college at that time. He's a guy that the Brewers have clearly identified from the get-go as being a part of the future of the franchise. I don't hesitate to give guys like that a deal pretty much any time if they're within, that talent range and they're gonna, again, like you pointed out, make money that they he's likely not getting that much more money than he would have without signing a long-term deal. I mean, the fact is that we don't know what's going to happen with the collective bargaining agreement expiration after this season. So I think that this gives the club and the players some certainty, and I think that it it probably makes if it didn't make financial sense for both parties to do it, you wouldn't do it. I think from the club's perspective, you're spending maybe a little bit more money than you would have, but you're also locking them up for a longer amount of time. And from the player's perspective, you have that certainty. And again, both sides are dealing with the unknowns of the next CBA. So I don't think that amount of money is anything to sneer at. And certainly, if you're a 20-something-year-old kid and you're getting $50 million guaranteed now for you, that to me seems like it's a great deal because you never know if there's an injury or anything else. That money is now his no matter what happens to him. If he gets injured tomorrow, he still makes that money.
Yeah, and this is the type of very low risk contract, betting on talent. And first of all, I trust, and we all should, like the Brewers' evaluation of the talent within their system. And so I think that they feel that, and if you go back, there's similar contracts that are going to work out in the Brewers' favor, where the Brewers took huge leaps on young players before they were fully proven. Look at Jackson Trio's contract; that's going to be an absolute bargain, most likely. You look at, of course, even Freddie Peralta, who we had on, dirt cheap on the last couple of years of his deal. He was a near ace level. Even guys like Aaron Ashby, who we signed, before he really was even solidified in a role. Same thing with Peralta, and he looks like an absolute bargain at whatever price he's going to be at. So I mean,
Yeah,
so I have very little reservation that this is going to turn out to be a great deal. Really, if you just look at it for fans that don't totally understand contracts, he was going to be arbitration eligible for at least 6 seasons, and then so possibly we guaranteed him like about 10 million a year if you want to just speculate on that. Through his first 2 years after arbitration, and then there's two club options, which again is no risk at only 15 million. We don't have to pick up those options. If we do, we're picking him up because he's going to be an absolute bargain at that point for that rate, which is, well less than
yeah,
even a qualifying offer is. So it's like a no-brainer deal almost for both sides. So, in my opinion,
yeah,
so I think it's a good
yeah. This
deal.
is I do too, and this is the type of risk that it seemed like the Brewers, quite frankly, have to take. I mean, I wish that we would have done this with Bryce Terang several years
Yeah.
ago. I think that that would have been a really smart move, and we could very well be saying that about Cooper Pratt. And the risk is that he doesn't pan out. Well, okay, then you've invested $50 million, which I hate to say it, it's kind of chump change for a Major League Baseball team over the course of that length of a contract. I think that we're probably, I think we just got done, or we're still paying Lorenzo Cain, this season. I mean, there's ways that the Brewers have managed to be creative with some of these contracts that I think is again what we have to do. And these are what I call creative risks. And I think that you you put you put these types of risks on guys that you have drafted, scouted, drafted, developed, and have confidence in after seeing them play at all their different stops along the way. If you're drafting Cooper Pratt out of high school, that means that you've been watching him since he's like 15 or 16 years old. So I have a lot of confidence in Matt Arnold and our player development staff and our scouts and our number crunchers who are looking at all the different aspects of a guy he brings to the franchise. Then you make a calculated risk. And to me, I'd much rather bet on our own guys on some level at least than I would on another team's free agent or other things that are going to be overpriced in ways that we can't control. And at least we control the process here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and we don't know what behind the scenes the Brewers could have offered these type of contracts to all their young players, and a lot of them probably with advising from their agents might turn it down depending on their career trajectory or whatnot. Uh, but uh,
Yeah,
but who knows? And maybe Trang was offered something and in this range and he turned it down and probably end up being very wise for him and his agent probably gave him good advice. I mean, I don't know that that happened, but I think that the Brewers would be smart to offer this to a lot of people that they think have superstar or at least everyday player potential. Even I mean, this is going to be a bargain deal, even if he's just a solid everyday regular major leaguer actually. So I think the risk is very low and I don't understand why people again some people just get caught in that $50 million for an unproven player. It's like you don't understand baseball economics if you think that this was a bad deal in my opinion.
that's right. That's right.
And
And I wish that it'd be really interesting for the Brewers to really try to take this young core of, top 10, say their top 10 prospects now, coupled with the guys that we already have in our team control at the big league level, and you really try to minimize risks, and that's what the benefits are of cost certainty. And then you can really target with your savings and with your knowledge and foresight of what you have to spend, then you go target that one big upgrade that you can get as a free agent, or that one even longer extension, or that big trade that you can now make because you have that certainty. And I think that that's really what that does, and that benefit for the Brewers. Now, whether or not we use it or not is that's a that's a debatable question. But I really think that this cost certainty is very valuable for a team like the Brewers when they give it back to investing it on the field in other ways.
yep, absolutely. So all right, well, without further ado, we're gonna get to one of probably our listeners' favorite segments. I know it's kind of Scott's and also ours, kind of just fun to do, but we'll do our
Yeah,
rapid nine, which again, when we would first named the rapid nine, we didn't realize that baseball was going to be making their actual 9 innings more rapid as well. And now it's almost kind of
yeah,
sad. We got the pleasure of attending a baseball game together recently here
yeah.
at the AmFam Field, and we commented to each other like where we're like, oh, it's only 2.5 hours since game time when the game's almost over. Like we would like to spend more hours at the ballpark. and the game's
Yeah,
almost, unfortunately. So, with that being said, yeah, I think the
and we
pace,
got there early for batting practice and everything, Craig. I mean,
yeah, it felt
we
like
were
that.
there. We were already there long, but I wanted to be there more.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't understand the complaints, but I do think I, again, I'm not going to complain about Major League Baseball's changing. I think that overall, the product for non-hardcore baseball fans like the two of us is something that's, the changes I think they've made, including the new ABS system, is all been pretty favorable from the fans' perspective overall. So
Yeah,
not going to again, a little resistant to change myself over time, but yeah, I think that they know what they're doing.
you're,
So.
you're still wearing the same things that you were to spring break circa 1990 this year for spring break in 2026. That's impressive.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I've moved from the spring break to the spring breakouts now, so at least
Okay.
first in first inning. Okay, which of the Brewers' current injuries concerns you the most? Which player's injury is the most concerning to you as we move forward here into the season?
Um, that's a good question. I'm going to say Christian Yelich. I just think that him being on the field is very important for this team. I think we've seen that in the first 3 weeks here of the season, or 2.5 weeks of the season. So yeah, I think the team started losing when Christian got hurt. So I'm going to say Christian Yelich.
Yeah, and
He
it's
also does have
even
nagging injuries too.
there seems to be some mystery concerning even what was the injury. It was first reported it was a hamstring, but then it was fully
Yeah.
reported it was a growing injury. So I'm not sure which is worse. To me, I think hamstrings linger a little bit more, but I'm not a doctor. So I guess I'm going to throw out a curveball and say that Jared Koenig's injury is
Yeah.
very concerning to me. I think he's such a valuable member of the bullpen and as a left-hander who eats up, so many appearances, and I just feel that his injury could last for months. I hope not, but his is very
Yeah.
concerning to me. And I do feel like some of the other guys will be back in short order. I think with the beginning of May, we'll probably see Churio, hopefully, knock on wood, and Vaughn probably by mid-May, and hopefully Yelich at the very latest, like maybe at the beginning of June. Hopefully,
I think Quinn Priester told us himself too that he'll be back, around that time too, so that he was on track for the most part. I know that he's already pitching in some rehab assignments in Arizona, that he's departed with the team, and we're going to have our anonymous source Tom Carter kind of watching his developments and reporting back on Quinn and how he's looking as well. But I'm really excited to get Quinn Priester back into the rotation too.
no, absolutely. And TC, by the way, or you don't, yeah, no saying his full
Okay.
name, please. Second inning, what current position, starting position, are you most concerned about for the Milwaukee Brewers going for the 2026 season as far as,
Third base.
yeah,
Yeah, I've been concerned about third base since the off season. I've been concerned about third base for quite some time. I just I know that he'll be better than he currently is, but Renhefo has always been a stopgap. I'm pretty sure that that's. I don't know. I guess it hasn't been said publicly, but it's pretty well implied with our system that Renhefo's a stopgap 1 to 2 year solution at best. He's not really producing right now, and I didn't think he was the best third baseman available, even as a stopgap. You and I know, had talked at length about other potential options and how the Brewers could get creative at third base through either free agency or through a trade. And Renhefo was obviously a free agent pickup, but we waited until the last minute again to pick up a third baseman, and we traded three other potential third base options after Durbin, or in the Durbin deal. I just think third base is kind of a cluster this year. I hope that Renhefo can, step it up a little bit. I haven't been overly impressed with him, not only this season, but even in past seasons as well. And you and I might differ a little bit on that, but he's never been one of my favorite players. So I'm going to say third base. And I know that there's an argument to be made for shortstop because Joey's bat is just been so anemic this year. I still see traces of potential with him. I know he's got some. I think he's got more with the bat than he's currently shown. But even so, I think his defense is so good that I worry less. You just can't have both of those positions not contributing offensively. And I think if you're going to go defense first at shortstop, which Ortiz is, then you've really got to get a third baseman that can carry his weight offensively. So that's why I'm going to rank third base as the biggest problem.
yeah, I'm going to cheat and say the entire left side of the infield because um, our internal options, I just don't think will be ready to help out at those positions so later in the season, even Cooper Pratt, even Jet Williams. So I really think these guys
Yeah.
can hold down the fort for at least the first couple months of the season and be productive, and I'm not seeing that. So it's a little bit concerning. So, all right, third inning. So far out of the gates, which AL team do you think might be better than you originally thought?
Um, honestly, maybe. Well, they haven't played very well recently. I was going to say the Astros, but they've kind of gone back down a little bit as well. I don't know. They're okay. I'll say the Royals. I'll say Kansas City.
Okay, yeah, that's a good pick.
I didn't.
You
I
know
didn't
what?
think as highly of them as you or some of our other colleagues around baseball did. I know they've got a ton of talent, and I know that they've got really talented players across the diamond. But just as a team, I didn't think that they were going to be terribly good, and maybe they still won't be. But I'll say that the Royals have been a little bit better than I
Yeah.
anticipated.
Well, I think they have a couple, besides having one of the best players in baseball, and Bobby Wagner, I think they have some underrated players in Mikhail Garcia, their new leadoff hitter, and also
Yeah,
Vinny Pasquantino. And also their
yeah, but
pitching,
they're
I
also
think,
7-12, so it's not like they're killing it or anything. It's
yeah,
just
no. I'm gonna
yeah,
go. My pick will be the Angels, just because of two reasons, I guess. Mike Trout seems to have a early season resurgence here a little bit, and also Jose Soriano, their starting pitcher, seems like he's been an ace level, and I didn't think they really had that type of pitcher even on the roster. So I'll go with the Angels. Next inning,
MLB had that headline today, just today, I believe, that said Angels have found their ace in Soriano. If you're going to go
uh,
pure record, I would say Tampa Bay has been the biggest surprise. They're 11-7, leading the American League East.
yeah, that's true. All right,
That seems
switching
like
over to
Toronto, who
fourth.
I think is. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna. If we're talking disappointments, I could talk about that too, but go ahead.
Okay, I did not have those on the innings, but if you want to throw those in there, fourth inning, I'm gonna go your most surprise team from the NL that you think it's going to be better than you originally thought.
Um, I guess I guess Pittsburgh. I picked Atlanta to win that division in the East, if you recall, and I don't know. It's still going to be a dogfight. So I'm definitely not saying that the National League East is decided on April 17th or
The
whatever it
Braves
is. I
are in
think
first
that
place, actually, so that was a good pick. I had them pegged for problems with their injury rotation to rotation.
well but it's early. They might still be. They might still finish fourth place. I mean, that being said, the Braves. I didn't downplay their talent level though going into the year, so that's why I'm not picking them. The Pirates, I don't think are really for real yet. I do think that they're a lot better though than they have been, and I think that they're probably a team that we need to take a little bit more seriously as well. And I'll say Pittsburgh.
Yep, good pick. And speaking of them, actually right after the Cooper Pratt signing, there was three other long-term signings from prospects. One of them was the Mariners. Was it
Yeah,
Colt Emerson, their shortstop prospect, and also, of course, Connor Griffin was the number one prospect in baseball going this year. Signed a long-term deal for much more, obviously, than, and also Kevin McGonigal from the Tigers. So again, it started a trend here, and I have a feeling teams are sneakily suspicious of what's going to happen in the CBA, and that my guess is that they're speculating that maybe the the number of arbitration years controlled might change, and I think that's why they're trying to lock these guys up. But
yeah,
that's just pure
exactly.
speculation. But so it's my NL team surprise so far has been the Padres. I thought that they lost a lot of talent on rotation. They're going to take some steps back, but their bullpen's been awesome, and yeah, so far they've been some nice starting pitching. So yeah, I'll go with the Padres for my surprise NL team. Is I think will be better than I thought.
Yeah, that's a
So
good
all
pick.
right, moving on to the fifth inning is
Still, and I'm going to throw out the caveat. It's still super early. Like I'm not even looking at record. Like looking at these picks so far, I just think like watching games that the talent levels are better for a couple of the teams that we mentioned than I initially anticipated.
And before we get to this fifth inning question, we didn't have time to talk about the fact that so far, and again, it's only a few starts in the season, but Mizrowski looks like pretty much the second best young starting pitcher in baseball outside of Paul Skeens so far.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's exciting thing that the Brewers will have in their control here for a while. But all right, so my fifth inning question is: besides the Miz and Woodruff, which if you had to guess, what third, assuming those guys are 1 and 2 in innings pitched on the year, who would be your candidate? Who do you think will throw the third most innings pitched for the Brewers this year?
Patrick. I mean, he's my answer for like just about everything starting pitching that isn't Miz related, quite frankly, for the Brewers. And I'm even going to put him innings wise at the end of the year. I'm going to put him ahead of Woodruff just because of the injury history. I think that Patrick, I think he's only still giving up one earned run.
Yeah, no, I mean his cutter.
I just think
phenomenal.
Cutter's been great, and he's got that fire in him when he pitches. I saw him, trying to argue with Murphy about being taken out of the game yesterday. He's just a guy that I think is a quality pitcher who makes himself even better by his tenacity, and I just like him. I think that he's great. I'm a huge Chad Patrick fan and believer, and I think that my answer is going to be Chad Patrick.
I agree with your assessment on that. And I think he'll stick in the rotation all year, and he'd be my pick too for third most innings pitched on the team. So, all right, let's go on to the sixth inning. Okay, if you had what current Brewers prospect and their great farm system is most likely to sign a long-term extension similar to what Pratt just signed next, I guess. If it
the next guy.
Who do you think is the most likely prospect?
I think that the Brewers might try to lock up Brock Wilken and sort of solidify that part of the outfield. I think that we're going to end up seeing Mate switch to the outfield. I think that we're going to end up seeing, and he's younger anyways. Yeah, I'm going to go with Brock Wilken.
Okay, that's a good pick. I think they're going to.
Yeah, I think the Pena and I think the Mate both end up playing the outfield or other positions. I don't think it's going to be a short or third base. I think that they're both going to end up in the outfield probably.
Interesting. I do think the Brewers will try to lock up Jesus Mate, of course. He very well is on track to becoming the #1 prospect in all of baseball going into next year. He's obviously not going to play for us this year. He's still too young, 19 for this whole season. But I think his agent will probably advise against that wisely. And so I'll just throw out Luis Pena will be the next one that will most likely sign with us if we offer him something similar. So, all right, I'm running out of time here myself. But the seventh inning here, who will end the 2026 season as the Brewers closer?
I'll say McGill. I think he keeps it. I think Uribe is probably the closer of the future, but I think for this season, I'll stick with McGill. I got some faith in my guy.
Me too. Love McGill. I think most Brewer fans would be tentative to go like, well, Uribe, especially off this. And again, did not like the booing that Trevor McGill got, but I actually went to the game yesterday afternoon, and McGill got some nice standing ovation when he pitched well, and also he was kind of fired up here against the Blue Jays, which I kind of like his moxie when it comes to that. The Brewers need a little bit of that. He
was that way against the Cubs too. He's got that spirit to him. And hey, I like Uribe too, but Uribe has also had his issues this year. It's not like you're putting somebody that's got some pristine ERA into that role. I think Uribe can do it talent-wise for sure, but I would stick with McGill. This guy's been with us since 2023 in a pretty vital role. Took over after Devin was traded, and actually even before that when Devin was just hurt. And I think that that McGill has been a key component of some very good Brewers teams in the last couple of years.
All right, eighth inning. Aaron Ashby is currently leading the MLB, as we point out, in wins with 5, and he's on pace for 40 wins as a reliever. But let's be realistic here. Predict the amount of wins that Aaron Ashby ends the season with.
I'm going to say 21. I hope he gets 20 wins. I'm going to just wish it into happening. I just would love to see it. 20. We'll say 21 wins.
All right, I'm gonna go with 9, just as realistic.
9,
and unfortunately, he'll end up
gonna get 9 by next week.
Okay, well, we'll see who's right at the end of the season, but like it's pretty rare for most relievers only get like less than 5 wins a year. But so,
I know.
So with that being said, he could probably get double digits. In fact, so I think he could go for the club record, which happens to be 10 wins by a reliever, both done by Raleigh Fingers in 1981, Dan Plesac in 1986, and apparently Tom Murphy in 1974.
1974. Yep.
Yeah. So I think he's got a real shot at the club record, which is kind of cool. So, all right, ninth inning. Faith. This is I always try to make the ninth inning a fun one. Favorite Gary Sanchez nickname. Okay, here are your options. The Kraken, the Great
Right?
Sambino, the Sanchez, or El Gary.
I'm gonna go with the Kraken. I just enjoy it. I think it's unique. I think it's bizarre and like this. He sort of looks like a sea monster, which is what a Kraken is.
Exactly. In fact, I think it was based off some movie character that was a that's what I read at least.
Yeah,
But
it's from mythology. It's like from the world of mythology is what the original Kraken was. So
yeah, I
I
think Brian
yeah,
Cashman gave him that when he was at the Yankees, gave him that nickname. But anyway,
yeah.
my favorite one, I'm going to go with my favorite, and I just heard it this week for the first time, is El Gary. For some
That's a
reason,
good one.
for
What
some
were
reason,
the
it
other
makes me
options
laugh.
that you said? The great. What were the
The
other
great,
options?
So apparently he was in New York called the Great Sambino, and also
Yeah,
The Sanchez, which
yeah,
the
the Sanchez. Because I'm getting a note right now from Scotty's intern that says the Sanchez is also an option. So I just hadn't heard you say that. So that's good.
yeah, the Great Sambino, the Sanchez, the Kraken, and El Gary. I don't know why I like El Gary. El Gary just makes me laugh for some reason. Anyway,
That's funny.
it seems very fitting. But anyway, we all argued that the Brewers needed to add a lot of power this offseason, which we didn't think they did, and he was like probably their last free agent signing. But he's
He's
going
one
to
of
be.
two. I mean, it was him and Renifo. Who else do we get?
That's right.
He's yeah.
So it was very, I think it was a very good signing for that, obviously for that price tag.
He,
In fact, didn't he only get $1.5 million or something ridiculous?
yeah, he's also already matched his season total from last year in home runs with five.
Yeah, no,
His his current contract is $4 million.
and so,
Oh
okay,
wait,
so
no, that's 2025 actually. So I don't know, 2026.
I thought it
I
was
don't
signed
know
for
what
like
his
$1.5
contract is.
million dollars, and now with Yelich out, and I think he's gonna get a lot of
Yeah,
at bats at DH, and I think we're gonna need his power from
one.
that position. So
He's according to our colleague 1.5 million, according to our colleagues at Baseball Reference.
okay, and so I thought, and the other thing I really like about Gary so far at the beginning of this year is apparently he really loves the ABS challenges. Every time he's either a catcher or a batter, he uses at least one ABS challenge, like every time, either at bat or every inning he's catching. It seems, and he's
It
really good.
seems
He
like it.
usually wins them. So I don't think Murphy's gonna put a clamp down on him because he's pretty good at it. But anyway, so yeah, I'm a big
Yeah,
fan. I'm a big fan of Al Gary this season as opposed to the last time he was in Brewers. But yeah, anyway. Um, all right, well,
that's
that's gonna
great.
wrap it up here for this one. Hopefully we'll be at you again. And hopefully the Brewers can start another winning streak here. And yeah, get out to the
Well,
Anfield Field, support this team. It's gonna be a fun season. And thanks again for joining us. And
remember to give us a follow. Actually, our Twitter page has been hacked, so discount and ignore anything that's been posted in the last week because we have not regained access to that yet. So we'll get back to you when we're no longer suffering technical difficulties on that. And Scotty will, I'm sure, get through our email inbox soon, but continue to send us your emails, Brew Crew Review Podcast with an S at gmail.com.
all right, sounds good. All right.
Thanks, Craigers. Thanks, Chad. Thanks, Scotty. Thanks, Vikram, Brandon, everybody. Yeah, really appreciate it.
And yeah, stay classy, Wisconsin, and go Brewers.
Go Brewers. Do, 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 do.